the Independent Study Hour at Verath Colony Integrated School, ran from 1300 to 1345, which was the slot the curriculum team had placed it in, after the research indicated that the post-lunch interval was the optimal window for student-directed work in the developmental range his class occupied, the specific. Particular argument being that the interval between the morning's structured learning and the afternoon's collaborative sessions was best used by students who were applying the morning's material rather than receiving new material, and that the applying was better done in the student's own mode than in the teacher's. Davin Oral had found the research correct in the specific, practical way of classroom experience, confirming a theoretical model. His students used the hour well, in their various ways, and the various ways were part of what the hour was for. He moved through the room in the ambient, available way of the independent study circulation, not monitoring, not correcting unless correction was needed, just present in the room in the way that presence was its own form of support for children who were working. The room's population was 23 students across 4 species. The specific, organized variety of the integrated model that the school had been built around, which produced in practice the specific, animated quality of a room where the visible range of approaches to any given task was wider than it would be in a single species environment, and where the wider range was the point. He was near the window seats when he became aware of Myra. She was in her window seat, which was where she always worked during independent study, because the window seat was the position she had established in the first month as hers. The specific, territorial claiming of a favored location that children performed in educational environments, and that Davin accommodated when accommodating it did not interfere with the classroom's function, and this one did not. She was working on the species integration language exercise, which he could see from the display angle, the comparative vocabulary module, the specific, foundational linguistic work of the integrated curriculum's language track. She was self-narrating. He registered this in the background-aware way he registered all the room's ambient information during the independent study hour, and he processed it in the standard way. Self-narration during task work, appropriate volume, indicating active processing, no correction needed. He was going to continue to the next section of the room. Then the content reached him. Not the words of the exercise, something else. Something that was not the comparative vocabulary module. Something in the smaller voice of a child who was not narrating the task, but narrating a different thing entirely. The thing that was in the background of the task. The thing that was present even when the task had found the surface attention. "Mama says the human teacher is the reason we didn't have to leave," Myra said, in the specific, quiet voice of a child speaking to herself. "But I'm not supposed to tell because it would make him sad to know what almost happened." He stopped. He stopped in the specific, complete way of someone who had been in motion and has received information that the motion needed to pause for, and he stood approximately 1 meter from the window seat, and the words were in the air between them with the specific quality of words that had been said and could not be unsaid, and were now present in a space that included him. Myra looked up. Her face did the thing that children's faces did when they understood that they had said something they were not supposed to say to a person who had heard them say it. The specific, immediate horror of a broken confidence, the awareness arriving all at once and producing the expression that came before the processing, which was the expression of someone who had not yet determined what to do with what had just happened. He looked at her. He said, in the gentle voice of someone who understood what he was looking at, "It's all right, Myra. Finish your exercise." She looked at him. "It's all right," he said again. "We will talk about it later. For now, the exercise." She looked at the display. She looked at him. She put her attention back on the display in the specific, effortful way of a child redirecting attention that had been pulled to something else, and he moved to the next section of the room, and the independent study hour continued. He sent the message through the family communication channel at 16:15, which was after the school day had concluded, and after he had done the day's end administrative work, and after he had sat with the overheard words for the interval between 1309 and 1615, which was the interval he had needed to determine what the words required from him. What they required was the contact. He had heard them. The hearing was not reversible. The content of the hearing had implications. Not about Myra, who had said something she was not supposed to say, and who he would address with the gentle accuracy that the situation deserved, but about the something she had said, which contained a reference to an event he had not been aware of, and which her mother had apparently been managing with the specific intention that he would continue to be not aware of it. The message said, "Myra said something during independent study today that I overheard. I'd like to speak with you about it, not a concern about Myra, but something I think you should know I heard. Would you be available to speak this evening?" The response came in 43 minutes. Yes. At 2000, he said yes. The call had the quality of something that had been prepared on her side. He had seen Vel Sorenketh across 12 parent-teacher conferences and the various communications that the integrated schools model required from its families, and he had developed across those 12 conferences the specific, professional familiarity with her that the relationship was built for, her attention to Myra's progress, her engagement with the curriculum's goals, the specific, thoughtful quality of a parent who took the educational partnership seriously. He had found her easy to work with in the way that you found people easy to work with when they were in the relationship for the same reason you were, and were honest about it. She looked on the call at 2000 like someone who had used the time between the message and the call to arrive at a decision, and the decision had been made, and she was on the other side of it. "What did she say?" Vel said. He told her. He told her verbatim, which was possible because the words had been in the specific, present way of words that were significant from the moment he heard them, and had not required effort to retain. He watched her receive the verbatim version with the specific, contained quality of someone who had been expecting something in this range, and was still, in the receiving of the exact version, affected by the exact version. She was quiet for a moment. She was not supposed to tell, she said. "I know," he said. "She knows. I told her we would speak about it." "What you do with that," she said, "is your function. You are a better judge of it than I am." She looked at something off-screen, not avoidance, the look of someone organizing. "I am going to tell you what she was not supposed to tell, because you heard it, and the incomplete version is worse than the complete one." "You don't have to," he said. "I have decided I do," she said, "so I am going to." He said nothing. She told him. She told him in the plain, organized way, not the version that managed his reaction, not the version that protected her from the telling, but the complete account in the order that made it accurate. The work visa and the renewal path and the timeline that had been active 6 months ago. The return to her homeworld. She said this in the specific, careful way of someone who had chosen the word return, and was aware of what the word implied, and was also aware that the implication was not the accurate one. And she let that weight sit in the word without elaborating on it, and he did not ask her to elaborate. She told him about the parent conference. "The third quarter review," she said. "Myra's second year. The end of the session, you mentioned the aide position. You said the curriculum office was developing it and it would be posted in the coming weeks." She paused. "I went home and looked at the position's classification. The aide role qualifies for the extended residency category that my visa required. I applied. I was offered the position. We stayed." He sat with this. "I have been working in the curriculum office for 6 months," she said. "Myra has been in your classroom. We have been here." "Yes," he said. "I did not tell you," she said, "because Myra had it right. I thought it would make you sad to know what almost happened, and because the position and the staying were mine. I found the path. I walked it. You mentioned a door and I opened it." "I don't remember saying it," he said. "I know," she said. "I know you don't. That is also why I didn't tell you." He looked at the space in the call where the looking went when you were not looking at the person, but were looking at the thing between you that the call was about. "The homeworld," he said. The return. I am not going to tell you about that, she said. Not tonight. Possibly not ever. It is mine, and it is Myra's, and it is not the part of the story that I need you to understand tonight. All right, he said. What I need you to understand, she said, is that I am not telling you this so that you will feel significant about a casual remark. I am telling you because my daughter broke my confidence, and the incomplete version of the story is not fair to either of us. And because you are the kind of person who would contact me to make sure I knew what she said, which tells me you are the kind of person who deserves the complete version. He looked at the call. He looked at the woman across 12 parent-teacher conferences who had managed a weight he had not known. She was managing with the specific, composed professionalism of someone who had decided the weight was hers to manage, and was managing it. I don't remember saying it, he said, and I'm glad I said it. She looked at him. Both of those are true, he said. The first one doesn't change the second. She was quiet for a moment in the specific, held way of someone receiving something and sitting with the receiving. Myra was right, she said. She said it would make you sad. It doesn't make me sad, he said. It makes me glad. The two are not the same. She is 7, she said. The distinction is approximate at 7. Yes, he said, I know. I will work with what she has. She looked at him across the call with the expression he had not seen across 12 parent-teacher conferences. Not because it was new, but because the 12 conferences had not produced the conditions for it, and this had. The position in the curriculum office, she said. I am good at it. I know, he said. I have worked with the materials your team produces. The quality is visible. I wanted you to know that, she said, that I was not only using the position, that I found a door, and it was also a room I was suited to be in. That was never a question, he said. No, she said, but I wanted you to know. Myra came to his desk before the morning routine began. She came with the specific, deliberate quality of someone who had decided to come and was coming. The small, composed determination of a 7-year-old who had prepared a thing she was going to say and was going to say it. I told the thing I was not supposed to tell, she said. I am sorry. He looked at her with the full attention. You did tell it, he said, and it was not yours to tell. She received this in the complete, body-held way of children receiving significant things. And he said, your mama and I have spoken, and everything is all right, and the thing you told is not a problem now. She looked at him. You talked to her. Yes, he said. Did it make you sad, she said. No, he said. It did not make me sad. She considered this. What did it make you? Glad I said what I said, he said. Glad you are here. Glad your mama is here. You didn't know you said it, she said. No, he said. But you are glad, she said. Yes. She was quiet for a moment in the serious, attending way she was quiet when she was thinking. He waited, because waiting was what you did when a 7-year-old was thinking about something serious. That seems right, she said, eventually. Yes, he said, it does. I still told the thing I wasn't supposed to tell, she said. Yes, he said. That is also still true. I will not tell things I am not supposed to tell, she said. That is a good standard, he said. It is the correct one to work toward. I am going to work toward it, she said, in the specific, formal way of a commitment being made. I know you will, he said. Go to your seat. She went to the window seat. He stood at his desk and looked at the classroom filling in the specific, organized way of a school day beginning. The students finding their seats, the morning settling into the structure that mornings settled into, the ambient, living quality of 23 children arriving at the place they had been arriving at all year. He did not remember the parent conference. He had reviewed his notes from it after Myra's words had sent him to the records, the third-quarter review, the second year, and there it was in the last line of his session notes. Mentioned upcoming aid position, post expected within weeks. One line. The specific, professional notation of someone who had mentioned something and had noted the mentioning in the way that the note-keeping practice required. He had noted it and had not thought about it again, and had not known that not thinking about it again was possible because of what noting it had been. The classroom settled into the morning's routine. Myra was in the window seat, which was where she always was. The school year had 12 more weeks in it when the morning of the conversation happened, and the 12 weeks were the 12 weeks they were, the curriculum, the parent conferences, the specific, ongoing work of an integrated school in the developmental window where the habits were being formed rather than practiced. The parent conference in the 11th week had the different quality, not the quality of something performed differently. The professional function of the conference was the professional function it had always been. The assessment of Myra's progress and the communication of the assessment, and the collaborative work of two people who were responsible for different parts of Myra's development, and were working toward the same outcome for her. The difference was in the space around the professional function, which had the specific, altered quality of two people who knew something about each other that they had not known before, and were finding what that knowing produced in the space, and were not yet certain what the finding was going to become. He told her about Myra's progress, which was good, the specific, genuine good of a child who had found her rhythm in the classroom and was applying it correctly. She asked the questions that the progress required asking. He answered them. At the end of the session, in the last 2 minutes, he said, "The curriculum office is developing an assessment coordinator role. It would be a step up from the aide position, different classification, broader scope. It's going to be posted in the coming weeks." He said it in the plain, unhurried way of someone sharing institutional information that was relevant to the person across the table. She looked at him. He looked at her. "I thought you should know," he said. She was quiet for a moment, then she said, "You remembered." "I noted it when they told me," he said. "It seemed relevant." She looked at the conference notes on the display between them. She looked at him. "You are going to do this every time," she said. "There is relevant institutional information," he said. "You are a member of the school community. Sharing relevant institutional information with school community members is part of the communication culture here." "That is the official version," she said. "It is also the accurate version," he said. She looked at him with the expression that had been developing since the evening of the call. The one that was not the professional conference expression, and was not the expression from across 12 previous conferences, and was the one that the 12th conference had, which was the one where she knew that he knew and he knew that she knew that he knew, and the knowing had organized itself into this. "The assessment coordinator role," she said, "posted in the coming weeks," he said. "I will look at the classification," she said. "I thought you might," he said. She looked at the conference notes. She looked at the window, which showed the school's courtyard, the integration garden, which was the outdoor space the curriculum team had developed for the species range of the student population.